only country in the world that has a minister of AI. We also look at AI from the ethics perspective, not only from the technology perspective. And everyone can join us in this effort. I'm actually in the board of the AI ethics in Digital Dubai, and we partner with global leaders in this space to create an ethical guideline. And you can join us by scanning this QR code, whether you are an individual or a country or a thought leader in the AI space or in the ethics space, and you're worried about ethical issues in AI. We can solve, like I said before, we can solve AI ethics-related issues and any other issues from looking at it from different perspectives. One of the applications we have in Dubai is digital identity, and we believe that digital identity is at the core of solving problems related to blockchain when it comes to KYC, AML, and know your transactions as well. Dubai is already a city fully powered by blockchain for all the applicable use cases of blockchain. For example, our land department's already on the blockchain. And our strategy from 2016 was on these three pillars: is government efficiency. Like I said, we're removing all paperwork, industry creation, creating the ecosystem in the country, as well as bringing in the thought leaders from across the world and creating international leadership in the space. So all the biggest players are actually either have a representative office on Dubai or actually live in Dubai right now. And the UAE level blockchain strategy was also set with the Minister of Finance, which you see in the video right now, and also the Minister of Economy and all the different ministries to actually drive this on a regular basis. We actually have regular meetings discussing the emerging technology and how we can actually push the blockchain envelope and the cryptocurrency and the ecosystem forward day by day and a week by week weekly meetings, and with the leadership, not layers that sit between us. This goes all the way to the top. And this is one of the learnings that we've had, and this is published already. I'll put up the QR code. And this was done with the World Economic Forum. And these are some of the use cases. I will not bother you with these, actually. But we have actually won awards also for being a global leader in blockchain. Many awards, actually. And we published a lot of our findings in a number of reports that were published worldwide. I'll talk a little bit about what we do. I'm actually the CEO of Dubai Blockchain Center. And in the center, we focus on education, awareness, and also creation of events and supporting events in this space. What we discovered actually is for us to create proper regulation, we have to bridge this knowledge gap between the regulators and the industry. And the only way to do that is bring both together and let them meet each other and let them interact with each other and try the technology themselves. If you haven't tried blockchain technology, you will never understand how it works. Looking at it as an outsider is not the same as you being inside and investing your money and trying the wallets, trying the DeFi space, trying the games that are actually based on this kind of stuff. A lot of people judge games that are, use the blockchain ecosystem, and they haven't even played a single game. They haven't even collected an NFT before. You have to really, really try something to really understand the different dimensions that it presents. We also focus on academia. We have signed a couple of years ago a three-way agreement between Dubai Blockchain Center, University of Nicosia, as well as the British University of Dubai. And we came up with actual practical projects that are both using blockchain technology for record keeping and notarization, as well as an NFT platform that came from the efforts from the university, academics, as well as people within the industry. The Dubai Blockchain Center is based out of something called Area 2071. And this area is built on this ethos of Dubai, which is creating this collision space. This was created before COVID, but even with COVID, we have actually created virtual spaces where people from different disciplines can come together and talk about how to solve different problems from space. Dubai and the UAE has already reached Mars already and have many satellites going around the world, and a lot of the biotechnologies. We is one of the first countries in the world to actually get out of COVID very quickly with the minimal restrictions on people, all utilizing data, big data, using analytics, using science for vetting the vaccines, and then recognizing the feedback from the patients. Every patient that gets any kind of vaccine or a PCR test has to fill out or voluntarily fills out a feedback report. We also are one of the smartest cities in the world, and we've won many smart city awards in the world, but we didn't stop at that. We created a global network for smart cities. Digital Dubai is a leader in that space, and we encourage any person who is within any smart city in the world, within the municipalities, within the management of the city, to actually get in touch with us and be part of this global network. So there's a fly here that's persistent. And this is how you can scan this QR code and join this smart city global network. And finally, I just want to emphasize that without working together, we can never achieve great things. Working in isolation will never get you anywhere. In Dubai, we are a melting pot of different cultures, different nationalities, all working together to create this symphony and harmony between us all to work towards a great goal that we can all achieve, which is in pushing humanity forward, not for ourselves, but for our children. Thank you very much.
Let's check. Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm really happy to see you here, and congratulations with one more event in these difficult times. I suppose that the COVID times will be end as soon as possible, and we will see each other as many times as we can. So let me tell you a few words about what we are going to do and how slots are. Do they require some marketing methods additional or not? So from my point of view, each slots, each game, doesn't matter. It can be table game, it can be instant game, I don't know, any crash game or something like this. They require some additional marketing, because what we're seeing in gambling industry usually, a lot of providers just, I don't know, promote the game only on top position of each casino, or they are featuring some categories of this, and they're thinking that it's more than enough. I don't think so, because COVID time show us that additional marketing instruments, additional advertisement, additional new ways of it is providing us a better result. So let me start from some things about marketing during COVID, and then I will tell you in a few words about what, on some examples of our games, what Everplay does and what Everplay did and how it's working. So first of all, everybody is thinking, like not everybody, but a lot of people are thinking that marketing is only about advertisement. So you push something to your Facebook account, to your Instagram account, and everything as well. I don't think so. So marketing for me is everything about like product, place, promotion, price, and it's very, very important. And that's why when you're pushing some new slots, you need to understand how to promote it correctly. So okay, price is not changing usually, because like most providers has like the same rates for each game. But anyway, a kind of product placement and promotion should be different. Depends on the kind of the game, depends on the market of the game, depends on the purpose of creating this game. I'm not speaking about like usual fruits and that's a copy of one each other. I'm mostly speaking about some new content that if you're a provider, you want to give it to the audience. So let's see, this is the best example from my point of view of good marketing implementation. It was Netflix. When they, you know, the part of the audience due to the COVID, everybody was restricted. Nobody thinking that there can be some changes for about half a year. So a lot of people from Netflix, they were just jumping inside. And the traffic, you can see that the traffic of Netflix was growing and growing and growing, but nothing changed. So they didn't start earning a lot more, because a lot of these customers were already subscribers of Netflix. And this was the only kind of opportunity of monetizing users from Netflix point of view. So what they did it, how they did the additional value, additional subscribers. First of all, they provided the free access to Netflix Party and raising the prices for the premium based on this. And you know, like the same audience they have before, and they already raised their revenue growth on 22%. You know, on their volumes, it's millions of dollars. Just not doing something. They just provided the free access to the content they have, and they just raise the price. That was recently a part of marketing, just raise the price on providing an additional value to a premium account. And from my point of view, there's a really good example of user marketing during the COVID. So what we're seeing here, that I think in our industry, Pornhub, everybody was looking at this, and it is like one of the gods of marketing for years, and they're providing really good content, really good strategy inside social media. You know, nobody using their content, using their niche, can provide such native content inside social media. I don't know, probably you'll look. If you didn't look before, I kindly advise you to do this. So what they did, how they did drive the traffic. The most restricted territories of the COVID were Italy, Spain, and France, if you remember this at the beginning of COVID. So what they did, okay, free premium access for these users. Because, you know, the main monetizing model of Pornhub is traffic. Is amount of people who are looking at the advertisement, and they fully understand this. And this premium access for the clients from these countries provided them a really growth of 60% of the traffic. I think they're really great advantages due to their monetizing system. It's disappointed, but nobody can know how much they earn on this. I will be very interested in this, but I can bet that there are more than 30% of growing in revenue net as well. So what are creative marketing campaigns are the perfect tool for user acquisition? I think if there are some operators inside here, it's very important for them. I think there's the main pain is how to acquire players. Because most part of casinos that are working in the market more than 5 years, you already have the full instruments how to retain players. You already have thousands of segmentation inside your CRM. But anyway, the main pain is how to acquire new players, how to write the average session lengths, how to write the player engagement. This is the most important things right now for you. So what we are kindly put on this, I think the social media that are not using right now for most part of operators, what I'm seeing from a lot of our partners, they're not using social media like they can, and they just lose a great source of new traffic. And I think the problem is not only that they can't use it due to they don't know how to use social media. I think the most part of here, the main problem here, because they don't have enough content from different game providers, how to attract players from social media. Let me show you one kind of such thing. So what we decided to do, we decided to test a hypothesis. We decided to create a game that will have the full story behind it, that will have the full materials, that will have the full videos, like the content. Everybody in social media is about the content inside. Nobody matters what's the bonuses, what the things you are providing. Everybody wants to look some good picture. They want to see some story, to read some story. They want to have more content than just usual slots like it is provided. So we decided to test this hypothesis because this was the part of things that we're already talking for years, and let's prove it yourself. So without any additional paid marketing, we already reached like more than 200K of views on each video. And so it was the start of our hypothesis that the content matters. The content that you put on social media, the content that you put in creative campaign, the content that you put even to streamers is really matters more. Because this game is not very gambling. It's not usual for gambling. It's not like fruits, diamonds, I don't know, 7s, 8s, and so on. It's just something additional. That's what a part of a hypothesis. And during the whole campaign, the campaign was around 7 months. We reached more than 15 million users without using highly budgets. We spent on the marketing like around 4,000 euros or 5,000 euros, to be honest. I don't remember exactly, but not more. Because content, sell it yourself. So what I kindly advise to each provider is not only thinking about how to feature game inside operators, inside different casinos or platforms and so on, because it's not like everybody is doing the same. I'm always advised to think about how the game will look on some social media, or even if the game is the same, try to create some additional stories behind this game. Each game can be like the main magic of marketing, that you can take something usual and show it in an unusual way. And that's the kind of my advice here of when we are talking about some kind of marketing. Also, after this, we decided, okay, the hypothesis is working, so let's do some more things. So we provided some AR inside the game, and we tested on different conferences. And like we provided a contest just to attract some B2B users, and we received like hundreds of views from B2B point of view as well. And just to make some additional value, like an additional instrument of interaction with the users, we provided them the stickers pack. Usually thin, everybody is using messengers. I can bet that you are using at least 2 messengers. Somebody using Telegram, somebody WhatsApp, somebody Viber, but the only thing that is connected to all of them, 2 things. First of all, everybody is using them. The second one, everybody likes stickers. So share it. The main goal of each marketing campaign is to think what your users is using and what your users will love to use from your company. So, okay, stickers is okay. We have more than 10,000 registered users in first day with our sticker pack. And It's free for us. It wasn't cost like a bit. We have designers as all of you has, and this is a kind of additional market instruments that connected to the game. That's how we are going to reach more users. Let me try to open the video here. Just so the next step, as I told you, marketing is a magic which can help you to show the product in the best way that you can. You can, I don't know, we can take any kind of magazine and show it like something very useful, something very important in the life of user. We can use anybody. We can use even the bottle and to produce selling speech. Or to produce some videos that will help you to marketing. So when we're talking about the product, I suppose Star Guardians, on the example of Star Guardians, I think this is the first game that has such marketing campaigns, so I need to speak about this. And we already proved that the marketing very matters when we're talking about the slots. Because right now, this game is not provided to everybody. We are provided it only like to tier one casinos and aggregators, and all of the audience, all of the media, all of the streamers, they're taking this game easily because this game is selling itself. We don't need to do any more. We just provided the game. We just provided the full marketing around it. We just created the full stuff around this. And this game start selling themselves both to B2B and both to B2C. So answer the question from the early beginning, do slots require additional marketing? I will answer yes. And this answer is not because it is my own opinion. This answer is because this hypothesis is already proved. And I hope to see more marketing campaigns connected to slots because I hope this market will evolve with it. Thank you a lot.
Keynote by David Zhao.
Awesome, guys. I guess I get to get started. Everybody, welcome to this conference. And I first wanted to start off by giving a great shout out to everybody that's listening to my speech today. I want to thank you for your attention. I want to thank you for your time. But most importantly of all, I wanted to thank you guys for being here. Today, what I wanted to talk about is a new frontier in the investment of decentralized finance as the managing partner of Beacon 256. In recent years, decentralized finance has almost become synonymous with market volatility, with mainstream news coverage covering mainly things like 1,000% gains or 1,000% losses. It's no surprise why that's the case. Hopefully you've heard of decentralized finance, but if not, it's an umbrella term for blockchain applications that disrupt financial intermediaries. The Wild West nature of DeFi, as a result of the volatility I earlier mentioned, scares many would-be investors from entering into the space. But for those that already do have allocations, many investors are looking for 10 to 20x returns. Many more investors are trying to time the market to benefit from market upswings, which is largely unsustainable. So think about it to yourself. Can the average investor consistently time the market or find the next 10x coin? Is this a sustainable way of investing that'll help make you successful in the long run with your DeFi investments? From our belief, It's highly unlikely. Even market professionals fail to consistently time the market and define the best investments possible. As a result of chasing big gains from single coins, investors are opening themselves up to tremendous amounts of risk that most investors cannot tolerate, particularly those coming from traditional finance. So how can investors protect themselves? To put it simply, you diversify your portfolio while working to minimize permanent losses of capital. And the key word here is permanent losses. I come from a background of traditional finance, where there is a surplus in the variety of asset classes and technical instruments for de-risking, such as stop losses, options, calls, puts, so on and so forth. In DeFi, these TradFi, or traditional finance instruments, already exist. But new tools, unique to crypto, provide alternatives to diversification and de-risking. While most investors allocate capital in crypto through buying and holding coins, few take advantage of underappreciated DeFi opportunities such as staking and yield farming. And as you can see here, these are very aggressively emphasized because this is the focus of my talk today. While some of the audience may know a lot about this specific topic, statistically, there's a lot more education that needs to be done. According to a survey conducted by Cardify, out of 100 digital asset investors across the world, only 17 of them can truly say that they understand the full potential of digital asset future, of digital asset investment, most importantly, digital asset de-risking. Of those 17 people, even fewer are actual users of staking and yield farming technologies. As of July 2021, only 24% of proof-of-stake tokens were actually staked in the market. To put a monetary sum on this, as per market capitalizations at that time, that's over $400 billion that could be generating returns for investors across the globe with lower risks. Now that we know these opportunities exist, how can we capitalize on them? How can we use them to our advantage? What do they mean? We've talked about why we should look into these technologies, but what is staking? What is yield farming? Staking is a process where investors provide tokens to confirm blocks of transactions. By providing their liquidity, they help make it so that transactions are validated more effectively, efficiently, and quickly. As a new block is added to the blockchain, new coins are minted and distributed as staking rewards, which are subsequently given back to investors such as yourself. While funds may be locked, which is a big consideration and fear of many investors navigating the staking ecosystem, most staking opportunities allow for immediate unstaking whenever you feel like it. Meaning that for those that are afraid of liquidity issues, you don't have to worry. When you want to make an allocation, when you want to readjust your market portfolios, you simply unstake, which is a 2-minute transaction at most. Staking helps with diversification because it allows investors to generate returns even when markets go down, which is kind of a dichotomy. It's a big question of how can investors make money when markets are going backwards? The more transactions there are, that means the more market activity there are. So as markets go up, there's an increase in transactions. As markets go down, there's an increase in transactions as well. And as I earlier mentioned on how staking is where investors provide funds in helping validate transactions, well, to put it simply, the more transactions there are, the more returns there are for you as an investor. Thus, staking reduces the risk of volatility by generating you returns with volatility. You're fundamentally de-risking yourself against volatility because the more volatile a market is, the more money you can theoretically make with staking opportunities. Staking large cap altcoins can net anywhere from 5 to 20%, which, if you're familiar with decentralized finance, is not a lot of money. We're not recommending large cap alternative investments. we're recommending the looking and the investigation into up-and-coming digital asset staking, which can generate you substantial returns, which is the true opportunity we have before us today. As an example, early stakers in ShibaSwap, a coin that a lot of us in this space have heard about, earned over 710% APY through staking alone, meaning that you're not adding more money, meaning that you're not spending more of your allocation spread out towards specific coins. You're simply leaving your existing allocation into a software. Staking, thus, is an alternative to purely investing into coins, a thing that we would love to look for as investors. This helps diversify your portfolio while reducing the risk of unrecoverable losses. Moving on, what is yield farming? The second part of what I wish to talk about today. Similar to staking, yield farming is where one locks up funds in exchange for financial rewards. But rather than helping validate blocks of transactions, yield farming is where investors provide funds to a liquidity pool where users can exchange, borrow, or lend coins. Subsequently, fees generated through the process of lending, borrowing, and exchanging these coins, well, that fee is paid out to investors such as yourself. And because rewards is equal to the total number of tokens that you are rewarded as a result of the funds that you've now locked up, well, your earnings potential is supercharged when market recovery happens. We talked earlier about how we benefit the most when markets go down. This increases your allocation without you having to spend more money into buying this coin. Thus, when market recovers, you've now increased your allocation without spending more money. Yield farming de-risks in the same way that staking does, where the increase in transaction equals an increase in the money that you make. Think about the concept of increasing your returns despite markets going down. With APYs ranging from 90 to 400%, yield farming is more profitable, yet more risky compared to staking. It's as a result of a principle that is known as, This is a result of a principle known as impermanent loss, which is something I won't be going into too much of detail today. Staking helps validate blocks of transactions, while yield farming is helping provide DeFi platforms with liquidity. These are two of the many under-leveraged return-generating opportunities in DeFi that a lot of investors aren't looking at. With more opportunities being built as we speak, well, the new frontier of DeFi is not a single revolutionary investment that'll generate you 100, 200x returns. The new frontier that we're suggesting is a diversified crypto portfolio that uses new DeFi tools to adjust for risk. Rather than trying to generate unsustainable rates of return, 100x, 200x, invest in the long term through an acronym that our firm calls RDM. Reduce risk, diversify your holdings, and minimize your permanent losses of capital. From all of us here at Beacon 256, we'd like to give a very warm thank you to those that have listened to us today. We're a digital asset investment fund based out of Canada, and feel free to follow up with me after for any conversations or any questions you may have about the presentation. Thank you all, and I hope you enjoyed the exhibits downstairs as much as I did. Enjoy.
One. Hi everyone, how are you doing? I'm not going to sell you anything. I'm not presenting any products. I would like to talk about the myths. I would like to talk about the economy. I would like to talk about the Bitcoin and about the money. Just providing you facts, you making your own decision. My name is Alex Petrov. I was working for a Bitfury for 9 long years. I have economical education, I have also technical education, and I was working in banking for a long time. And then I found the Bitcoin. I started thinking Bitcoin is really something interesting, something what I was looking for. Because before then the internet was just appear on the stage, they trying to use existing system to perform payment, and it doesn't work well. So you need different money for internet. And I was thinking what that money can be. So PayPal doesn't look right. Web money doesn't look right as well. So then I found the Bitcoin. I realized it's really interesting concept, and I start digging in. So a lot of people is complaining about the Bitcoin, and they saying Bitcoin is generating a lot of CO2. Bitcoin is a bubble. Bitcoin is bad for environment. It's not profitable, so the Bitcoin is useless for a real world. But that's not true, it's just different. People very dependent from their previous experience. The story of horseless car. It's a good example. Then the history was showing our example. Then the first car was invented. The first patent was registered just to put the wooden hose heat on the car. Do you know why? Just to do not scare people who are sitting on the car. Because before they were sitting in the car and they are looking on the horse behind. And the patent was registering exactly the concept. It was driven like horse head behind the car, just to do not scare horses, just to do not scare people. What I'm also like, it's a picture. It's picture fear of electricity. There was a lot of cartoons when the electricity was invented. A lot of people was very scary because something new is going on. A lot of wires, a lot of people was joking about wearing the isolated suits, a lot of wires, and one of the picture like fear of electricity because of New York, the one electrician was dead performing the electrical works, and the Times was reading a huge article how electricity can be harmful. But that's topical. Then absolutely the same happens in Bitcoin. Then people are meeting something new. They became afraid. They are trying to find the analogies. They are trying to find the analogies from their previous experience one-to-one. But there is no analogies. It's absolutely different features. It's absolutely different word and absolutely different rules. And you cannot find the analogy one-to-one. And the same was happened then the whale oil was fall down and was replaced by oil. The same happens then the people invented the cars. The same happens then the people invented the steam machines and railroads, and the same electricity. And the same happens right now with Bitcoin. People doesn't know how to understand the Bitcoin. They are trying to build the analogies from the previous experience on the Bitcoin, and they're failing, and it's working absolutely on different principles. Then they're converting the physical assets from electronic form, from physical form to electronic form. It's allow us to lower the cost of storage. It's higher capacity. It's lower transitional cost. Like if you would like to move like 10 kilos of gold for 10,000 kilometers, it will cost you a lot. But if you're converting it in electronic form, it will be fast. The same about the paper. If you're sending the paper mail, it's taking a lot just to transfer it for 10,000 kilometers. Long delay, a lot of problems. But if you're using emails, it's much faster, but it's getting you a lot of additional pros and cons. It's increasing the speed of transfer. It's increasing simplicity of handling. It's adding the new features. It's easy to processing, but it's different. It's not analogous one-to-one. It's the same like people was making mistake, like then I'm using the fax. It's the same like sending the post mail. No, it's not. It's absolutely different. In physical world, it's very hard to copy object. In the electronic form, it's very easy to copy object and very hard to detect which object was original one. Then people from the financial world, from the economical perspective, trying to evaluate the Bitcoin, they're making typical mistake. Before, it was very easy for us. If you have like paper money, like 100 bills, and you have 10,000 bills, so you're multiplying bills by numbers, that's matching. If you have the gold, you're multiplying by amounts, and you also can evaluate the market cap. But if you're talking about the Bitcoin, it's more complex. There is a cost of infrastructure. There is a cost of infrastructure, CapEx and OpEx, operational expenses and capital expenses. There is also adding the benefits if you have better use cases, more competitive advantage. There is also all the businesses who running the operations on top of the Bitcoin or on top of a blockchain. It's also all the investments. If you're investing in developers, if developers know the product, know how to build the product, it's also adding the cost and value for a blockchain. It's also community, how many people are already using the product. Then the Facebook was coming for IPO. They also evaluating amount of users who are using the Facebook because it's potential buyers or sellers, and that's creating the market. The cost of the physical assets is not comparable if you're talking from the physical assets, converting them to electronic form, but there is some expenses still existing. The paper, the regular paper, just 1 kilo of a paper require approximately 700 liters of clean, pure water. It's also require a lot of energy, approximately 28 kilowatts of energy just to create 1 kilogram of a paper. And the same about all the rest products. They practically all based on the energy, on how we are using energy. Then the manufacturing something, the utilizing the energy, it's not possible to live without electrical energy. And our paper traces is also have the side on the electrical side. According to Statista, the average bank in Europe per one customer wasting approximately 150 kilos of the paper per year, and over 200 in the US because of regulations and different reports. And it's huge amounts. And if you're thinking about how we can optimize it, how we can lower the energy expenses and make it more clean and efficient, the electronic form just came in your mind. Some of the process can be optimized. What the efficiency? On the left side, you can see the typical fabric on China. So they are scratching the jeans, 5 employees working and scratching the jeans. They are spending 5 minutes just to create 1 pair. And in result, there is a product of the process. But on the right side, it's the laser machine. It's creating 6 pairs of jeans just in 40 seconds. The difference is huge. It's automatization. It's no more human resources utilized. It's more precise. It's allow you to create the new objects at more high level. It's higher efficiency, it's higher speed, and it's better accuracy. Why I'm talking about the efficiency? The efficiency is a critical and playing huge role in our history. The Ford was invented the assembly line, and his innovation allowed to create 1,000 cars per day, minimizing the cost of production, increasing the quality of the products. Right now, they're manufacturing approximately 1,700 or 2,000 cars per day using automatization. It also allows us to decrease the price, increase the quality, and make it much, much faster. And what the result of this increase of quality and increase of the manufacturing amounts is efficiency and it's innovation. It's always driven by innovation. If you can see the graph on the top, it's car waves. Car waves was invented by Russian-American scientist Kondratiev. He was economist, and he was described what all the economic growth was motivated by some innovations, like steam machines, economic growth, the railroad, economic growth, the electricity, economic growth. And the same, I think, happens right now. Right now, we are in 50 years stagnation, and our economy was seriously broken. And Bitcoin can change a lot of things. And right now, we are coming exactly to a good example. So I would like to talk about the power consumption and efficiency, because there is a lot of complaints what Bitcoin is consuming a lot of electrical energy, it's wasting a lot of energy. Your guesses. How many gasoline is consumed by scooter? How many gasoline was consumed by car? And how many gasoline was consumed by heavy truck? And what is your guess? So it's looking like the scooter is consuming less from all of them. The car is consuming like a little bit more. And the heavy truck is consuming like 35, 40 liters per 100 kilometers. But what about the efficiency? If we need to like drive, take the passengers, or just move the different goods by weight, can you name the most efficient one? Your guesses. Do you think it's the scooter? Can you raise your hands? Who think the car is more efficient one? And who think the heavy truck is more efficient one? You're right. It's not looking the obvious, because then you're looking on the numbers. The scooter is consuming less than 1.5 liter. But if we need to, if we are required to move some goods or just take the passengers, then the scooter is less efficient. And the numbers became really huge. If you would like to move like 35 tons, it will take 276 liters per 100 kilometers by scooter. It's not efficient, and it's not fast. And the same about the passengers. The small cars are also consuming a lot, but you should also count they have their own weight, and the numbers is still huge. But if you're looking on the heavy truck, it's still consuming 35, 40 liters. It's most efficient one. And the difference is approximately 78 times. It's huge. It's looking like a huge truck. It's looking like a huge numbers for us, 40 liters per 100 kilometers. But in results, it's more efficient one. Do you have any guess how much fuel consuming airplanes versus the heavy truck? What is your guesses? Do you think the airplane is more efficient or less efficient? Who think the airplane is more efficient? You're right. If you're talking about the long distances, the airplane consuming even less. It's consuming approximately like the average car. So it's 12 liters per 100 kilometers if you're counting per passengers. And if you're talking about the train, it's also looking like heavy train consuming 600 liters per 100 kilometer. But the difference is huge. The train was able to take 120,000 tons. And it's more efficient. The ships is slow, the train is also slow, but they are consuming less energy. And the difference, if you're comparing them to railroads, to regular cars, it's approximately 4,000 times. If you can comparing them to heavy truck, the difference is only 100 times. But the railroad is most efficient one. The airplanes, it's different and a little bit more complicated because you should calculate also amount of fuel what you're taking for airplane. If you're traveling for long distances, it will be efficient. But if you're flying for 1,000 kilometers, taking off, landing off, it will consume more energy because exactly taking it in the air, airborne, consuming a lot of energy. And they came to golden triangle. Why we are talking about the energy efficiency? There is universal rule what is working through all the universe. You can build something good, you can build something cheap, or you can build something fast. And if you're taking the analogy, so it's a universal engineering rule what you can apply on the blockchain, or you can apply to a car. You can build the cheap car, but it will not be fast, and it will be not secure. You can build a tank. It will be secure, but it will not be fast, and it will not be cheap. And absolutely the same happens in the blockchain. Then people are promising you cheap transactions and very fast transactions. Maybe they are not right in some positions. Because if you're getting the very fast transactions and very cheap, so they will not be secure. Or if they're secure, but they are not fast, then they can be cheap. And it's always one excluding the other one. In the mining, we are using these special chips. A lot of people are thinking the ASIC was invented by miners, but that's not. The ASIC was invented in 1967. And the ASIC is exactly the chips what allow us to create the mobile phones. All Wi-Fi networks, all LTE, 3G, 4G is using the ASICs. And practically even CPU what they are using, they are also some kind of ASIC based. But CPU have a flexibility. You can write the program. And this writing the program ability to be flexible also has a cost. It's not very fast, but it's flexible because you can write the programs. And if you're looking on the triangles, there is always compromise. It can be cheaper, it can be faster, or it can be more efficient. And the same happens in the Bitcoin. So the ASIC is most efficient one. And the Bitcoin is using the ASICs just to make all the networks secure. They are processing all the transactions. And efficiency and difference between the CPU and the ASIC is huge. If you can look on the table, so the difference between the CPU, what they are using, and the ASIC, what they are using, they are approximately 1,000 times faster, but they also consuming approximately 50,000 times less energy. Just think in terms of the Visa network. If you're building data centers and you're processing transactions of a payment, but you're using the regular servers, you're using the regular CPU, it will consume a lot of energy. And this is what happens right now. A lot of the banks, they're consuming energy. A lot of people who are sitting and working in the banks, they also need energy. There is a cooling, there is a warming. All the physical protection, it's require a lot of energy. Just 3.5 millions of ATMs in the world, they're consuming more what all Bitcoin mining is consuming right now. According to statistics, Statista are describing like 40 to 15% of all electrical energy they are spending just to support operation of our financial system. And Bitcoin consuming 0.02%. it's more efficient in times. Yeah, it's not obvious, but if you're looking on the numbers, you can realize it. The difference between data centers in the Bitcoin and data centers in regular industry is also huge. There is power unit efficiency, the term what is describing how efficient your equipment, how many energy consumed by servers and how many energy is consumed by cooling equipment in a relation in between. So the normal standard data center in the Europe consuming 1.7 PUE. It's meaning 70% of energy is spent just to cool down all the equipment. But Bitcoin mining, they build data centers absolutely differently. They are not using any cooling equipment. And they even decreasing all potential losses. And they're using the cold air to cool the equipment. And in result, the average numbers of a Bitcoin mining is 1.1. It's almost twice better. But this is not all. In Bitcoin, there is even existing number 0.98. How that's possible? They are selling the heat from the servers. They are warming water, and like in Georgia and like in Czech Republic, they are sending the heat just to warm the tomato growing farms. And this I'm count like more efficient and more comfortable way for our environment. According to statistics, only 72% in the Europe is used from like the normal sources of energy for data centers. All the rest energy is not very clean, and there is a lot of losses, and there is a lot of conversions, but also coming like an expenses. And in Europe, only 56% is sustainable and a little bit more clean energy. In US, it's still numbers quite higher because they are still using a lot of fossil fuel and there is a lot of CO2 in result. But Bitcoin mining using approximately 87% of clean energy because it's mostly Ghidra. It's mostly most cheaper energy, and they are ready to move their farms more closer to sources. This is minimizing also all losses. They're getting a lot of losses of electrical energy in transition. So then you're transferring the electric energy from one point to another one point. You're losing from 16 till 24% just in transition. In Europe, they're calculating like average numbers, 16% of all electrical energy is lost in wires during transmission. But there is also conversion. You're also using transformers just to lower the electricity or upper the electricity voltage, and there is also not 100% KPD. So you're losing approximately 20%. Bitcoin is trying, and Bitcoin Farm is trying to avoid any losses. They are moving data centers close to sources, and this is also excluding any losses during the transition of electricity. They're also using more efficient equipment. They're using more efficient data centers. They are ready to migrate for points there is electricity is generated but not used. And this making Bitcoin is in times more efficient. Why Bitcoin is different if you comparing Bitcoin to financial system? So if you're talking about the Visa network, and I quite often hear then people are comparing the Visa and the Bitcoin. The Visa, first of all, is not the currency. The Visa is a settlement system. It's clearing system. What meaning clearing system? It doesn't perform transactions immediately. It's just verifying you have a balance to perform transaction. The real transaction happens 2, 3, 5 days later. In Bitcoin, final transaction happens after 10, 15, 17 minutes. Do you know what the difference? 2, 3 days and 10, 15 minutes. So if we just convert the numbers, 2, 3 days, it's approximately 2,880 minutes. And in Bitcoin, in 10 minutes. So 2,000 times immediately. The difference is huge Bitcoin transactions is final in 10 minutes. And Visa is not able to operate by itself. It's not the currency. They still need the bank. They still need financial system. They're just connecting the banks and providing you ability to perform transaction. And it's looking like transaction happens immediately, but it's not. It's still relying on the old system, and it's still very, very slow. And another one point, the old Visa network is single dimensional. And this is what the typical mistake people do. In Visa, one source, one destination, one transaction per second. Quite easy. You're taking one source account, you're sending to destination account, and it's easy to measure how many transactions you can perform. But Bitcoin is multidimensional. It's different. So it's meaning you can take from 5,000 different accounts balances, pay 2,000 invoices, pay 10,000 salaries, and it will be just single transaction. It doesn't need to perform 2,000 transactions like in Visa. You can just take one transaction and do in times more. That's add a lot of flexibility. And combining with different technology, we can also build more efficient system. For example, Visa is a transport. It's not existing by itself. So it's not the currency once again. It just layer on top of a banking system. And if you would like to compare Visa and something, then you should take the Visa and Bitcoin Lightning. And then difference will be in times more higher. In Visa, regular transactions taking 13, 15 seconds per one transaction. In Lightning, it's millisecond. It's 10,000 times difference. It's huge. So false state about fraudulent money. So if you can see QR code, you can just take a picture and check. I'm not presenting the numbers by myself. This is official report from UK government, National Risk Assessment. And they create the table, and the table listing all the banks, accountants, legal services, and there is a Bitcoin. The digital cash and the Bitcoin is the lowest point. It's the lowest point of risk. They are still performing KFC and IML using the human resources, and the amount of mistakes is really huge. Then the banking and financial systems start to implementing AML and KFC, it's impact the cost for end user and approximately increase it 2-3 times. But do you know how many IML is catching real fraud? 0.1%. It's costing 10% of all turnover of money, but it's catching very, very few of real fraud transactions. And it will not work because it's still human. The human not able to check everything properly. The human is still making mistake. The human is still depending from the emotions. And this is making also Bitcoin in times more efficient. Thank you very much. My research and all works was supported also by Sexio and also by GMT Token. They also supporting that conference. You can see GMT logo here. And by the way, GMT is performing lottery right now on their stand. You can take the paper, fill, and maybe win if you're lucky. Thank you very much for your time. If you have any questions, you can ask, and I will be ready to answer. Thank you, Rick. You would like to ask me something about the financial industry, feel free to ask. You can raise the hand. No questions. Okay, that's great. Thank you once again for your time. I hope you enjoy.
Fireside Chat with Michael Saylor, MicroStrategy, and Mike Costacci, investor and entrepreneur.
Hello, Malta. Who's awake? Can I hear you say Malta, like they say locally? Who can say it with this beautiful accent? Malta. Well, we're all here today because Eman Polis, a dear friend since 2018, and 90 wonderful souls that are his soldiers have set aside a lot of time in the last year to create this series of events called the Malta Week. They even employ 600 other people to create all these stands in these 15,000 square meters. So thank you for all your sponsorship, helping the local economy in Malta. Today, we are here with a wonderful human being who's coming to us from DC. And before I introduce him, I just want to say a few words about Eman. Eman is the guy with long hair that you see at every conference around the world who promotes Malta like no other patriotic citizen. So I think we should all give him a round of applause and maybe get the Prime Minister to give him an honorary citizenship award. This Fireside Chat and the entire AIBC conference is co-hosted and sponsored by GMT. GMT, as you already know from the big VIP lounge down there, is in the business of simplifying the mining process, allowing everybody to benefit from the financial freedom Bitcoin allows you without investing in equipment and going through all the hurdles of managing a mining farm. Just a few months ago, on April 26th, GMT launched their own token to raise even more money and allow more people to have access to real computing power. Today, there's about 17,000 miners who are receiving daily Bitcoin mining rewards. Sure. GMT has already shared the data with the Bitcoin Mining Council, which Michael and a few other companies in America established back in May. And today is a proud day for GMT because they have just become the 30th member of the Bitcoin Mining Council. So that's a big achievement. And there's many more companies that are joining the Bitcoin Mining Council and sharing their data and creating transparency. But now it's my pleasure to introduce Michael Saylor, whom I had the pleasure of partying with once many years ago in Miami. And everybody knows him as the chairman, founder, and CEO of MicroStrategy, which is a business intelligence company he created a long time ago. And he's actually the longest founder, CEO, and still controlling officer of a US publicly traded company. He listed it back in '89 and he's still controlling it, which is why during the pandemic, on the 11th of August, he was able to take $250 million of the corporation's retained earnings and bought Bitcoin with it. I'm assuming a lot of other people have bought a lot of Bitcoin before, but nobody in public with it has said, I convinced my board of directors of a NASDAQ publicly traded company to buy this much Bitcoin. Of course, he did it securely and safely through Coinbase. It was probably a year-long negotiation to get there, but he did it. So although his given name is Saylor, I call him the savior because when the pandemic started, as you remember, Bitcoin was at 10,000. It went down to 6,500 for a week, and then it started climbing up. He bought most of that at 11,000 in August, which I think is a very smart move. And he encouraged so many other dozens and I think over 100 companies that are publicly traded to start doing the same. Elon Musk was one of them and many, many others. So he's a savior in my book from that point of view. But the most impressive thing to me about this human being is not the fact that he has 17,732 Bitcoin in his own name and another 114,042 Bitcoin in his corporation's name. That is just wealth that comes and goes. As he calls it, he takes electrical energy called electricity, which gets converted into digital energy called Bitcoin. And other people like him that sell services and products take their profits and buy that digital energy called Bitcoin and they store it for future value. But the most impressive to me that he has accomplished is the fact that over 1 million people have been able to get college degrees or currently be enrolled in what's called the Saylor Academy. This is his nonprofit that him and his staff established back in 2008. And I would really, really encourage all of you to go to your App Store or Google Play and download Saylor Academy or go to Saylor.org and see what 1 million people are already benefiting from, which to me is very, very impressive. I have a very dear friend who got me into blockchain back in 2017. His name is Brock Pierce. He's the chairman of Bitcoin Foundation. And Brock has been preaching for a number of years that the new way of calling yourself a billionaire is not how much cash, dollars, or Bitcoin you have, but if you're able to influence positively the lives of 1 billion people. I don't think there's anybody on this planet who hasn't yet heard of Michael if you have any interest in Bitcoin. And he's already influenced 1 million people by helping him get college degrees from a number of universities that are accredited through his Saylor Academy. So he's on his way towards 1 billion people, but he's already influencing them through all the knowledge that he's sharing every day, and of course, those that use his products. Now, that was a 7-minute introduction because he really deserves it. So now I'd like to welcome Michael all the way from DC. Thank you, Michael, for joining us. We have crowdsourced 5 questions from the 25,000 email database that Eman has and other social networks. And we've come up with 5 questions for Michael, but I'd like to let you say a few things about the Bitcoin Mining Council or anything on your mind that you'd like to share with us. I think the most impressive number that you've shared recently in the quarterly report of the Bitcoin Mining Council is that only 0.12% of the world's electricity is used for Bitcoin mining. So all the media that has been spreading fake rumors, fake news for so long is now able to listen to what Michael and the Bitcoin Mining Council has to say. So Michael, the floor is yours, and then I'll ask a few questions from our 5 lucky winners of $1,000 worth of GMT who submitted their questions and they were chosen. Michael? Can you hear us, Michael? No? Michael? Is he able to hear us? Okay, can you unmute him? All right. Technology at its best.
Okay, I hear you now.
All right,
Hello?
great. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Are you able to hear us now?
I hear you fine, thank you.
Great, great. Would you like to say a few words about Bitcoin Mining Council or anything on your mind before I ask you these 5 selected questions?
No, go ahead.
All right,
Shoot.
let's go. So Russell Chorus, CEO of Easy365 from Toronto, who's running a digital ecosystem combining the best aspects of NFC and online gaming, digital tracking, and blockchain education, has this following question. There is a very interesting court case happening right now in Florida between Kleiman and Wright. What are your thoughts on the implications of BTC and BSV, the fork of Bitcoin Cash, as we all know, if Craig Wright is the conclusively established as being the Satoshi Nakamoto?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can ignore the court case. I think it's just comedic relief. It's not going to have any consequence to the crypto ecosystem one way or the other. He's not Satoshi. That's pretty obvious. If he was Satoshi, he'd be Satoshi. And there's there's huge amount of Bitcoin that's not moving ever. And the court can't give him ownership of the Bitcoin any more than give him ownership of Mars. If he sued because he thought that he invented the moon, they wouldn't give him the moon either. And if they gave him the moon, he couldn't take it. So I would just ignore it. It's a sideshow and a waste of time.
Okay, so just a media show.
Yeah.
All right, great. We have Jason Butcher, the CEO of Coin Payments Global out of London. He's running a leading crypto payment gateway, making it easy for merchants to accept crypto as a form of payment. And his question is the following. Over the past decade, we've seen crypto used for many things, from being used for exchange of value to investment to speculation to utility usage within platforms, and most recently NFTs and DeFi. What's next? What do you see is the next stage of crypto?
Okay, I think there's 3 different aspects of crypto right now. There's digital property and digital energy running on the Bitcoin network. There is decentralized, dematerialized finance, dematerialized platforms and technology, which is other crypto platforms like, Solana and Binance Smart Chain and Ethereum and the competitors. And then there's speculation like the 48 dog coins and the 2 Sailor Moon coins and the 12 Elon Musk coins. And I think if you're a speculator, that'll continue. I think that all the NFTs and smart contracts are crypto venture technology. I think that digital energy and digital property, though, is by far the biggest opportunity because that's going to go from $1 trillion on Bitcoin to $100 trillion, and potentially could be worth $500 trillion. So I think it'd be a mistake to fixate on the revolutionary aspects of crypto. That is, that the idea we're going to replace governments, replace companies, replace existing institutional structures with something all new in crypto. That's a beautiful dream, but I don't think that's going to happen in the next decade. And it might distract you from the evolutionary opportunity, which is if you plug your country, plug your insurance company, plug your finance company, plug your bank, plug your corporation, plug your balance sheet into Bitcoin, that's worth hundreds of trillions of dollars. You just have to own money, or you have to have a company, or you have to have a country. And for anybody that has those assets in the real world, as they digitally transform those assets, there's going to be massive value creation. So my advice is don't become too inwardly focused on the revolution. Make sure that you recognize the evolution, right? I mean, plugging a country like United Arab Emirates into Bitcoin could be done by 3 people in a week, and it would be worth $100 billion, right? So, whereas if you pointed the entire country at rebuilding the infrastructure with and replacing everything with a crypto chain, you would accomplish 1% of that with 1,000x, 10,000x more risk.
Great. Thank you for that wonderful, detailed answer. Christopher Wirkala, CEO of Sphere Us from Redmond, Washington State. He runs a charitable organization dedicated to helping educators effectively implement the Every Student Succeeds Act so that vulnerable students get dedicated resources for higher learning, which is similar to some of the things Michael is doing with his Saylor Academy. His question is as follows. Retail crypto investors focus on holding buy-side demand and pump and dump timing for value appreciation and positive ROI. What is the impact of various equilibriums that come with a massive surge in short positions through derivatives, options, and other hedge strategies? Put another way, what impact will they have on the crypto overall, mining, blockchain, cryptocurrencies, volatility, mining costs, exchange spreads, and fees?
I think the rational strategy is to buy the dominant asset, in this case, Bitcoin. Buy as much Bitcoin as you can, hold it forever, and ignore the market fluctuation. There is lots of volatility in the market. The only people that benefit from the volatility and trading it are professional arbitrageurs and traders. So if you have proprietary software, proprietary algorithms, and a bank of computers, and you want to trade the volatility, and you're a professional, and you know you can do it, then maybe that's a business for you. But I think if you're a consumer, you should just buy and hold and wait and ignore volatility. The more you focus on it, the more it's just going to give you anxiety. And with regard to any dominant network, for example, if you bought Amazon, Apple, Facebook, Google, if you bought Bitcoin, the only mistake that you can ever make as an investor is to sell them. Right? So if you would, the richest man in the world is still owning the stock that he owned 20 years ago or 10 years ago, right? You don't get rich by selling or trading, right? The way you get rich is by predicting the future and then buying a piece of the future and just holding it forever. And normally the people that are really rich, the Zuckerbergs, the Bezos, et cetera, the Elon Musk, they're rich because they're not allowed to sell. Like, if I'm a public company officer and I own the stock, I can't sell it. It's either private or I don't have that option. Whenever you get cute and you start staring at the ticker, thinking that you're going to sell it so you can buy it back cheaper, you just, you generally sell it. You don't buy it back cheaper. You wake up one morning, it goes up by a factor of 3, then it goes up by a factor of 10, and then you realize you lost 97% of your money. So I don't advise anybody trade unless you are the world's greatest trader and you know you are. And the person that's the best in the world at this knows they're the best. 99% of you aren't. Buy it, wait, hold.
Great, thank you very much. Dan Bobic, CEO of Simplus from Bucharest, Romania, runs a leading premium rate aggregator of SMS, IVR, ITV, micropayment, televoting, and interactive game company. With the United Nations Climate Change Conference, which we all know is commonly referred to as COP26, and other carbon reduction global decisions harm large farming projects. Is there any opportunity for crypto mining taking into account carbon emissions targets?
Yeah, I think Bitcoin mining is the most sustainable industry in the world. I think we're running with a sustainable energy mix, north of 50%, 56, 57%, which is quadruple every other industry on the planet. So I think that as people start to focus upon energy use, what they'll see is that Bitcoin mining is the highest value use of energy in the world. It's the best use of stranded energy. It's the best use of intermittent energy. There's no other way to monetize a volcano or a waterfall or a wind farm so effectively. If you're in any developing nation, it would easily be 10 times, if not 100 times as lucrative as the next best idea for your energy. So I think Bitcoin mining in general is going to usher in a renaissance in the monetization, the development of stranded and sustainable energy.
Great, great. I have one extra question that came in just now from Artem Sergeyev. He's the founder of Blockshow, which is a friend of Eman and I. He's also a large conference organizer in the blockchain space. He has a question that refers to the fact that a few weeks ago, Vitalik posted an article about the possible future of cities and even whole countries managed through DAOs. He called them crypto cities. Michael, how far can we go with DAOs? Where can DAOs really help and change the life around for better, in your opinion?
If you're the mayor of a city or you run a governmental institution, the opportunity for you is to build a balance sheet based upon Bitcoin. Bitcoin is universally recognized as community property. There's still a lot of question about whether or not other cryptos are property or securities, and most likely they're all securities. So if a public official were to endorse a security, it's unethical and it's probably illegal. So any kind of municipal initiative based upon any token that's deemed a security is just not going to work. It's going to violate every public ethics rules and probably most of the anti-corruption and bribery laws in the world. So the only thing that's a safe harbor for a public official right now is Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is property like land. Anything that's deemed to be a security, it's like, you can't basically do a deal with Facebook or Apple and say that we're going to endorse a private company in order to grow our city. So in the distant future, maybe if there are other cryptos that are deemed as property, there might be a discussion here. But right now, there really isn't any crypto other than Bitcoin that's deemed as property. So nothing else would be appropriate for a public official to endorse, to even talk about, right? The best idea for a city is you take $1 billion, you buy Bitcoin, you wait for it to go up, right? That's a good idea. Every other idea is probably going to be legally or ethically fraught with peril.
And on a more micro level, do you see the Bitcoin Mining Council, which is today just a website that you and your friends created and you've allowed everybody to join, do you see that as a legal entity in some sort of a community? Where do you see it going as a structure?
Bitcoin Mining Council is really just an informal consortium of Bitcoin miners that are gathered to educate the public on the benefits of Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining. So fairly informal, but it's got an educational mission. the mission is, it's every single quarter we do a survey, we assess energy usage. We're keeping track of efficiency of Bitcoin mining. As Bitcoin mining becomes more technically efficient and more sustainable, we've got the survey results to share with the world. And there's a lot of education to be done about Bitcoin mining in general. And so the Bitcoin Mining Council will pursue that mission.
But in terms of events and staff and building it as a real organization, like there's 600 other organizations in America that run different industry trades. Do you see that becoming that, or is it going to remain a decentralized entity as far as you can see?
I think we'll see. Right now, our primary mission is education. And if you actually produce really good content and you put it online on YouTube and Twitter, you can get to 1 million people very quickly and very efficiently. So I think we're more enthusiastic about educating the public and any interested public investors in the benefits of Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining.
Great. I have one last personal question.
I would do that online.
Malta's GDP last year was 15 billion. The market cap of the company that you started and still run is 7.5 billion today. What is it like running half of Malta from your office in DC?
It's exciting time, I think. Right now, if you look at the world, you've got a multi-$100 trillion opportunity to commercialize digital property and digital energy and digital assets. And I look at it. I look at where we are today. It's kind of like 1900 with electricity. You've invented this electricity. You can put electricity into houses and cars and boats and appliances. And some people are afraid of it, and someone burned their house down with it, and someone got shocked by it, and the mathematics is kind of complicated, but it's going to change the world. I feel the same way about digital energy. But Bitcoin's digital energy, it's going to change every government, every company. It's going to change every family. It's going to impact the way that most of our products and services work. People aren't quite sure of it. Some people don't understand it. Some people are afraid of it. As they start to learn more about it, it fixes everything, makes the world a better place. I'm enjoying my time, and I'm enjoying the educational mission and the opportunity to develop the 21st century economy using digital energy.
And one last question. How many publicly traded companies have reported to you that they've also taken some of their assets off their balance sheet, whether it's retaining earnings or whatever, and converted them into Bitcoin? Is it hundreds?
About a year and a half ago, we were the first. I think there's probably about 36 now. So we're still in early innings, but we've gone from 1 to 2 to 3 to 5 to 10. I think there'll be a dozen fairly substantial publicly traded Bitcoin miners trading on the stock exchange by the end of this year. I'm really excited. You might have noticed Marathon was one of the earliest Bitcoin miners to buy Bitcoin using the proceeds of an equity offering. And just this week, they priced a convertible debt offering. They just did it for $650 million under really great terms, just a day ago. And I think you see a lot of other Bitcoin miners that are raising equity and debt, and they're either going to buy Bitcoin mining equipment, they're going to buy Bitcoin. But if you think about it, what you realize is every time a Bitcoin miner raises money, equity or debt or of any sort, that means they're in essence using it to buy Bitcoin. Because if they pay their operating expenses, that's so they can hold the Bitcoin they mined. And if they use it to pay for Bitcoin mining equipment, that's so that they can hold the Bitcoin they mined. And then in some cases, like Marathon, they actually go out and buy Bitcoin in the open market before they mine it. So I think you'll see an acceleration of that. You'll see more companies like Square and Tesla buy Bitcoin as well for their balance sheets.
Great. Thank you very, very much for your time. I know you're just getting started with your day today. So have a wonderful day with all your employees and everything that you're spreading all the love throughout the world. And I'll see you in Miami in December. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All the best.